Hello. Hi, how are you? It's end of the day. I actually was just sitting outside getting some sun, soaking up the rays, and I closed my eyes and I think I fell asleep. I hope you're having a beautiful Wednesday. I just came wanted to come on here and say hi because I recently opened the doors to Executive Ahead of Time, my 6-week group coaching intensive, and I am just flooded with so much love and an excitement for what is to come over the next when we actually open the program in September, over those 6 weeks where I take all of these women on an incredible journey towards their next promotion, and the one after that, and the one after that, and the one after that. So I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that program at the end of today's broadcast. But the reason why I came in here is because I wanted to do a 3-part series on how to get yourself out of the weeds. This is a huge deal for many, many reasons. One is you might be realizing already that it keeps you from advancing your career if you're in the weeds too much. But probably what you think is not exactly the reason why it's keeping you from actually advancing your career. So I'm going to break down what getting out of the weeds means and how you can actually start getting out of them. So who am I? My name is Stacy Mayer. I'm a promotion strategist and an executive coach, and I am on a mission to bring more diversity to the leadership table by getting 1,000 powerhouse corporate women promoted into senior executive leadership positions each and every year worldwide. And I do that through my training programs like Executive Ahead of Time, a 6-week group coaching intensive designed to give established corporate leaders all of the tools necessary to advance into that next level of leadership and have success once they get there. And I am also the host of Maximize Your Career with Stacy Mayer, a podcast on iTunes. And we're actually going on episode number 82. So check that out so that you can learn all of my leadership wisdom on what it's really going to take to get you promoted into that next level of leadership. So like I said, today's broadcast is talking about getting out of the weeds and why it is so important as an executive leader to pull yourself out of the weeds. Of course it is. And you probably have an idea that that's true. But as you're continuing to grow towards executive leadership, it's also important to start doing that at whatever level you're at. So even if you are still an individual contributor or you are an earlier or more frontline manager, it's imperative that you start pulling yourself out of the weeds now. This is going to set you up for success in the future. So like I promised, most of you guys might be thinking that getting out of the weeds is a problem because why? Because you don't have enough time in your calendar. You don't have enough time to think strategically. So if that's you, I want you to leave me a comment. Let me know you're here. Say hi. If you're somebody who has difficulty already getting yourself out of the weeds, let me know. So I'm going to break down in this 3-part series. I'm going to come live today, tomorrow, and Friday and actually share with you all of the strategies that I teach my clients to start, one, pulling themselves out of the weeds. And then ultimately what we're doing through this is we're shifting perception with leadership, that we are ready for those higher level executive roles. So I'm going to share with you why that is and how we can actually do it. And if you listen to this entire series by Friday, you might actually find yourself getting out of the weeds. Like, how cool would that be, right? To have more time in your day to actually enjoy your work and to make a bigger impact almost immediately. So I talk about getting out of the weeds. Let me define that a little bit more for you. So being in the weeds is basically that you are often reacting to problems instead of being proactive. It means that you are swamped with your daily activities, right? It means that you don't have enough time in your day to think strategically. Usually, physically, it also means that you have higher stress levels, that you don't enjoy your job as much, that you're running from one thing to the next, right? So, all of these are signs that you need to get yourself out of the weeds. On the flip side, the other sign that you need to get yourself out of the weeds is that you are not getting promoted into higher level leadership positions, right? That means that the leadership team identifies you as a subject matter expert, as a person who's in the weeds, as a person whose value that they bring to the organization is based on the number of hours that you work and not your ideas. That's our goal. Once we can start getting paid for our ideas instead of the hours that we put in at work, we're happier. We enjoy our work more. We feel more connected to the other people at the organization because we're starting to be able to see that impact that we want. We have more energy to put into our work, right? That is why we are doing this work now, to get ourselves out of the weeds. Now, I said this can happen at any level, as in you could be an individual contributor and you can go ahead and start pulling yourself out of the weeds. You could already be, a frontline manager. You could be a middle level manager, director level, senior director. But I also want you to know that you could be a CTO. We actually had a CTO join the January, February round of executive ahead of time. Right? Because it doesn't matter, because if you don't do this work that I'm teaching you, if you don't start pulling yourself out of the weeds now, you're going to scale all of your bad habits with you. So that's why we have to start doing this work. So you think right now, and tell me if this is you. I mean, I really want to know. I want you guys to comment. And if you're watching the replay, definitely comment. You think that the worst part about being in the weeds is that you don't have time to strategically think, right? So if that's you, no harm, no foul. This is definitely a problem, but it's not the reason that I believe that getting out of the weeds is a problem. And it's not just my belief, it's what I actually see in my clients, and the real problem and the real impact that being in the weeds all of the time has on their career trajectory. It has on their happiness. It has on their ability to bring their own thought leadership into their everyday world. It has a problem in their advancement into senior executive leadership. Like whatever that is, the real problem, the actual problem that being in the weeds is causing for your career, ding, 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 is perception that you are not ready to move or get promoted into a higher level leadership position. Angelique, hi, it's so cool to see you as well. So it's this idea of perception, right? So I get emails all the time saying, I've done it all, right? Like I've done everything that I can. I've done everything that I can to show that I'm ready for a promotion, yet people are still passing me over, right? But then, like literally, I got this email today. It's like 6 paragraphs long of the details, the little teeny tiny details of all the work that she's done over the years and why she deserves a promotion. But if you are so far into the weeds, the leadership team can't see you as a senior executive leader. They don't actually see you as an executive, so then they can't promote you into higher level executive positions. So like I said, some people still get promoted, great, fine for them, right? But like my client who came into executive ahead of time, the challenge was still getting out of the weeds because he literally couldn't do his job. Right? He actually, because at that level, you can't function without working like 60, 80 hours a week, right? And that's not what we're looking for here. We're looking to really be able to make an impact at our organizations. That's what I want for you. So when we look at this idea of scale, I just want to like paint a grotesque picture here for you a minute. Think about the idea of growing in your career, because that's what I talk about, advancing to the next level, growing in your career. And you think about it, you just get bigger and bigger and bigger, like growth, like literally like just bigger and bigger and bigger. It's kind of grotesque, right? It's like, it's gross. I read my lovely friend Simone. She posted on Facebook a couple of weeks ago that the idea of continuous growth, like rapid growth, nonstop growth, is cancer, right? So we don't want to just keep growing. This is why so many of you are not actually going for those higher level executive positions, because you don't want to keep growing. Like, it's gross. It feels gross. It's disgusting. We don't want to just get bigger, 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 bigger. But what we want to do is we want to scale, right? We want to scale our careers, and whatever habits that we have now scale with us. And when we scale, we become more powerful. We become more impactful. We literally are like just climbing, the ladder. If that's a good image for you, if you have any desire to climb a ladder or the staircase or whatever that is for you. But think about what's going to happen for you once you actually get into higher level executive positions, and the impact that you're really going to make because you are in those positions of influence. Like, if you're somebody who's incredibly frustrated at your organization or your job now, you need to be in a higher level leadership position. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to get ourselves out of the weeds. And the first place that we're going to do that is, starting today, is you're going to self-identify. I want you to say to me, Stacy, and I know I'm on LinkedIn here, and you might not want to admit to all your colleagues and friends that you're somebody who's in the weeds. So comment in the comments, or shoot me an email, shoot me a direct message. I am somebody who is in the weeds. I acknowledge I have a problem, because it is a problem. It's not, like I said, it's not just a problem for you. It's a problem for your ability to advance into executive level leadership positions. That's really the problem. So I'm going to read off to you a few ways that you can start to identify as somebody who is just too freaking far into the weeds. Give me 1 second. I'm like, I had this pulled up, ready to go, and then it went away. Whatever. This is what the beauty of being on live. Oh, I know. I have like a keyword I can put in here. All right, here we go. So for you to be able to start to identify as somebody who is too far in the weeds, these are the things that it looks like for you right now. You are so freaking organized, right? You have everything really organized. So basically what it looks like is you show up to your one-on-one conversations with your boss with your detailed outline of everything that you've been working on, every single thing that you want to check in with your boss about. You have it all laid out. You're so organized. It's very beautiful. Whatever he needs from you, you're ready to answer his question with what? The details. And so the first thing I'm going to ask you to start doing is stop being so freaking organized. Stop showing up with all of the details if you want to be perceived as somebody who is ready to scale their career. Are you following me here? That is something that is working against you. And in tomorrow's live, I will go into more details about what you're going to do instead, right? But for now, I want you to just start thinking about it. Am I the person who shows up with a detailed outline and doing all of these check-ins with my boss? The next way you'll know is that if you're really, really nice. And how you'll know this is because you have like a lot of moments where you feel like you would like to say something, but you're just not saying it, right? So if you're somebody who's really, really nice, I have a client that was actually told that she couldn't get promoted because she was too nice, right? Completely counterintuitive, but basically what he meant was that he didn't think that she could have the tough conversations. So with this, I don't want anybody running away and say, "Oh, we have to be jerk-offs at the top," right? Like I am interested in bringing more women to the leadership table because I think we need more empathy and compassion at the leadership table. So I'm not saying don't be nice. What I am saying is be willing to show that you can have the tough conversations. Again, tomorrow I'm going to give you some tools on how you can actually do that. But first notice, like, is this something that is getting in my way? Am I being too nice? Right? And like a lot of times by that, it's like, am I covering up something? Like, am I trying to get along? The thing that is going to make you stand out to actually get promoted is when you can stand out. And what does standing out mean? It means that you have opinions, right? And you're willing to have conversations about it. You're not going to be a jerk, but you see things that other people don't see, and you're willing to speak up and talk about it. The other thing that you're going to start to notice is that you're relying on your subject matter expertise. So like the woman who I suggested who sent me the email, right, that was very detail focused, it's not a leadership email, right? So if you look at your resume or you look at your LinkedIn profile, are you relying on your subject matter expertise, or are you speaking to your leadership assets, your leadership style, what matters to you, your values? A lot of people talk about leadership as being kind of squishy, right? So it's like, we can't really define it. No, it's incredibly defined. And there's like a ton of tools out there to start to define it for yourself. If you've done like Myers-Briggs assessment, Strengths Finder, leadership inventories, there are so many incredibly valuable tools to start to put words and language to what your unique particular leadership assets are. Right? Because you need to understand that. And like I said, this happens at every level. Because if you desire to be in a leadership position, then you have the ability to get there. So I want you to ask yourself, am I relying on my subject matter expertise as being my value that I bring to the organization? Are you a task manager? Do you feel like that's what most of your conversations are about? Do you feel like you're waiting to be told what to do rather than offering ideas? Do you feel like you're raising your hand? Do you feel like you're proactively managing your career instead of waiting for your performance review? Do you feel like you always do every single thing that you're told? Right? Unfortunately, these are not qualities of senior executive leaders. Angelique just wrote down, it's like on social media, you want to stand out, you want to be like you, right? Who are the leaders that you follow, the leaders that you admire, right? When you think about those people, those leaders that you like, just think about your best boss, that person, right? A lot of times kindness is for sure part of it, right? A lot of times they were a good person that genuinely cared about you, but they were also willing to have the tough conversations. This is the and approach that I teach inside of Executive Ahead of Time, right? Is that we're willing to do both. And as women, when we start to be able to advance our careers into executive leadership, what we're doing is we're showing up in a way that we're willing and able to do both. So in today's training, what I want you to do as a takeaway is to start to be able to identify what are those areas where I am too far into the weeds. And you're going to pledge with me to start to pull yourself out of the weeds, that you're even just willing to try and do something different. If you walk away from today with just the willingness and the desire to start to notice and to see where you're literally holding yourself back from getting promoted, because they cannot promote you if you're going to scale all of these bad habits with you, right? They don't want that type of person in executive leadership. They don't need that type of person in executive leadership. And you don't want to get advanced into executive leadership with that attitude. I'm going to leave you with one final tip at the end. But before I do that, I want to talk to you for a brief moment about Executive Ahead of Time, my 6-week group coaching intensive that helps established corporate leaders get set up for their next promotion and their next promotion and their next promotion and have success once they get there. Getting out of the weeds is the first module in the program. This is why so many clients that come into the program have results within the first week, because I teach you all of the communication strategies. I'm going to be giving a lot of them to you tomorrow for free. So you could listen to this broadcast and start to see, oh my gosh, this is what I want to start doing. This is what is getting in my way. I have the desire to advance into executive leadership, and now you'll have the ability to actually go and get it. So it's part training. I have 24 course training modules, and it's also part coaching. You're going to get weekly coaching from me. And the third part is the community. You're going to be surrounded by a community of like-minded leaders, all looking to advance their career to that next level. It's like nothing else that you've ever found. And you're going to be able to start implementing it almost immediately. And as a special bonus, because our next group starts in September, but I didn't want you guys to have to wait until then, I am offering bonus coaching sessions throughout the summer. So the earlier that you register for the program, the more you're going to get coached from me. It's at executiveaheadoftime.com. I'm going to put that in the chat here for you guys. So go to executiveaheadoftime.com to find out all the information and register. Shoot me a DM if you have any questions at all. But really, I just want you to know that getting promoted into that next level of leadership is completely within your control. The only reason you haven't been promoted is it's not because you don't know or you're incapable of doing the job. It's not because you have a shitty boss. It's not because your organization only promotes at certain times of year or has certain criteria or has the expectation that you have to move to headquarters or across the country or take a global assignment. The only reason that you haven't been promoted into senior executive leadership is because you're not deliberately managing your career and your life. And in this 6-week Executive Ahead of Time program, I give you the tools to begin to do that and to really set yourself up to scale all the way to the top and have the impact and the influence that you really want to have at the executive level. Make all the changes that you wish you could make right now at your organization. And one of the ways we're going to do that is by getting ourselves out of the weeds. So I promised you a quick tip before I left today of the homework assignment that I want you to do before tomorrow is I would like you to think of an area that you're normally very detail oriented, like you show up with your spreadsheet, when you're at your one-on-ones with your boss and you're like, okay, these are all the things that I do really, really well. Like let's say, for instance, you're going to have a promotion opportunity, like a pitch to pitch yourself to get a promotion, right? And you might think that you can, this actually happened to my client. So she pitched her promotion with all of the cool things that she had accomplished over the last 6 months, and she didn't get it. She didn't get promoted. It was very unfortunate. It was like it was a pay increase, and she didn't get it. And then I coached her on what to do instead the next time. So this is what she did before she met me. And then once she met me, she realized what she did wrong, right? Which is that she had to lay out her leadership, right? She had to actually identify it more as a visionary aspirations of all the things that she had accomplished, right? And so the homework assignment for today is I want you to take the thing that you normally commit to your scorecard and you say, okay, these are all the tasks I accomplished. These are all the really great things that I did. And I want you to turn it into a why statement. So it's a visionary and aspirational statement. So think about what you did really well, okay? And then what I want you to do is say why that was important to the organization. All right. So that's all you're going to do. Identify the thing that you keep getting into the weeds on. And then you're going to identify the vision for that. Like, it's like basically you're reverse engineering why you did all this work to begin with. Okay. And you're going to start to see the impact that it's making on the organization and why you were doing it in the first place. So this is just a homework assignment for you. You don't have to share it with anybody yet. But tomorrow, I'm actually going to give you communication strategies in part 2, where you can start to be able to share this information with leadership and really tell them the why behind the work that you're doing and why it really matters. You start to do that, you get promoted, you get more money, you get more respect. You get involved in the conversations at the leadership table. You get a real voice at the table. That is what I want for you. It feels good, my friends. I've seen it happen over and over again. Wow, I can't believe it. My CEO walked into my office and asked me my opinion on something before he presented to the board. I'm not making that up. It is for real. It is what starts to happen when you do this work. Let me know if you have any questions about executive ahead of time. Hope to see you in the group. Remember, the earlier you register, the more free coaching you get from me. And I hope to see you in there. Take care. Bye.